Everyone dreams of owning a home right on the water. The sound of the waves, the smell of the ocean, and that view that makes every morning feel like a vacation. But what most people don't realize, in White Rock, true waterfront is not only incredibly rare, there's only a handful of streets that actually sit right on the ocean, and they almost never come up for sale. But when they do, they're some of the most exclusive and expensive properties anywhere in the Fraser Valley. And yet, for all of that glamour, there's a hidden side that most buyers never see until it's too late. A few winters ago, a massive windstorm hit White Rock. Waves rolled right over the promenade, flooded parts of the strip, and caused serious damage to homes and businesses along the waterfront. It was a reminder that living this close to the ocean comes with real risks, things like erosion, flooding, insurance challenges, and stricter building regulations. But still, the demand here never stopped, because when you own waterfront here, you're owning something that almost no one else can. So in this video, we're gonna look at what it really means to buy waterfront in either White Rock or South Surrey, the hidden costs, the zoning rules, the maintenance realities, and why, despite that, all of these homes remain one of the best long-term investments that you can make. You only get one chance to buy or sell your next home. Let's get it right. Worth mentioning, my name's Darren, a real estate professional serving the White Rock and South Surrey area since 2007, helping hundreds of people just like you, including many who we first met here on this YouTube channel, that are looking about getting into the local real estate market. So if you're thinking about making a move, feel free to reach out. My contact information and the ability to book a time to speak with me and my team is in the description below of this video. All right, so in the Lower Mainland, in Vancouver, you might find oceanfront homes in Kitts Point or along Point Grey Road, but those are multi-million-dollar estates owned by the global elites. West Vancouver's waterfront stretches are incredible too, but you're starting at 10, 15, sometimes even $20 million or more. Here in White Rock, you can still get the same unobstructed views, the same coastal lifestyle, and that same level of prestige, but at a fraction of the price with far fewer opportunities to ever choose from. There are fewer than a few dozen true waterfront properties in all of White Rock, and every single one has a story. Marine Drive is, of course, the most recognizable stretch, sitting right along the ocean. Those homes are about as close to the water as you can get without actually having waves touch your doorstep. From there, the bluff kind of rises up from what locals call West Beach, where homes perch above the shoreline with panoramic views of Semiahmoo Bay. Keep heading west and go around that same bluff, and that line runs you all the way through Ocean Park, all the way to Crescent Beach. But even there, the number of actual waterfront homes is tiny, just a handful that are tucked along the edge right in front of the promenade down there. When you add it all up, we're talking about just a few dozen true waterfront properties between White Rock and Crescent Beach. That's not just rare for this city, that's actually rare for the entire Lower Mainland. And that scarcity is exactly what makes these properties so desirable and why, even through market shifts, they almost never lose their value. Now, every few years, Mother Nature reminds us that living right on the Pacific has its trade-offs. If you remember the 2018 windstorm, you know exactly what I mean. Locals remember this well. Massive waves smashing over the promenade, railings torn apart, and parts of Marine Drive completely underwater. The pier was heavily damaged and cleanup took months. I've even got some old footage from years way before that here that shows another storm. This is not uncommon in White Rock. It's not something that we see every winter, but it's proof that when the ocean decides to flex its power, nothing along the strip is fully immune. And it's not just windstorms anymore. Just this past winter, White Rock set a new rainfall record during the atmospheric river event that pushed our drainage and retaining systems to their limits. The rain came down so fast that water pooled across Marine Drive and the lower hillside, something most homeowners never expect until it's happening. When the tide and the wind line up just right, seawater can push past the seawall and flood ground level garages, mechanical rooms, and even the lower floors of homes. Electrical systems, landscaping, and retaining walls often take the brunt of it. Now, I got to be clear here. These events are not the norm, but they're becoming less of a once-in-a-lifetime type event and more of a once-in-a-decade type event. And insurers, well, they're paying pretty close attention. Many now require specific flood coverage or impose higher deductibles for homes along Marine Drive or in Crescent Beach or other low-lying zones. Premiums can easily run higher than similar properties just a few blocks up the hill. Owning right on the water is still one of the most incredible experiences you can have, but it's also a reminder that when you buy the view, you buy the exposure that comes with it. Now, to move aside from White Rock a little bit, I also want to talk about Crescent Beach, which is one of the most charming, tightly held waterfront communities anywhere in the lower mainland. It looks peaceful because it is, but what most people don't realize is that Crescent Beach actually sits in a defined floodplain. The city of Surrey treats it as part of its coastal floodplain zone, which means there are strict rules in place for anyone who wants to build, renovate, or even lift their home. Every new project here has to meet what's called the flood construction level, which is about 3.3 meters above sea level. And those plans need to be backed by a professional geotechnical engineer. It's all part of Surrey's coastal flood adaptation strategy and a long-term plan that includes the Crescent Beach Sea Dike, drainage upgrades, and pump stations designed to protect the neighborhood from rising seas and heavy rainfall. That protection gives a homeowner a sense of security, but it also comes with some of the tightest building controls anywhere in the region. So if you ever wanted to replace an old beach cottage with a modern home, you'll need to raise the foundation, prove flood resilience, and sometimes even apply for a development variance permit if your design doesn't meet the exact elevation standards. Non-habitable spaces like garages or sheds can still sit lower, but living spaces must hit that 3.3 meter mark. And of course, there's good reason for this. Crescent Beach is beautiful, but it's low-lying during major rainfall or wind events, like that last atmospheric river last fall when White Rock actually set the local rainfall record. The system here gets tested. Those dikes, pumps, and drainage systems are what keep the community dry. So while White Rock's Marine Drive deals with wave action and bluff erosion, Crescent Beach faces a different challenge: engineered protection versus natural risk. Owning here means being part of a legacy community that's as regulated as it is respected. And that balance between preservation, safety, and exclusivity is part of what keeps Crescent Beach property values so strong over time. If Crescent Beach is all about flood protection, White Rock's upper waterfront, that stretch running from West Beach all the way up to Ocean Park, is all about gravity. Now, these are some of the most breathtaking homes in the region, perched up high on the bluff with panoramic views stretching from Semiahmoo Bay all the way to Mount Baker. But that elevation comes with its own challenge: erosion. White Rock's hillside is made up of a mix of sand, clay, and glacial till. It's stable, but it's constantly shifting in small ways. Rainfall, groundwater, and even wave activity at the base of the bluff can cause gradual movement over time. That's why you're going to see things like retaining walls, engineered drainage systems, and deep piling foundations on most of these newer properties. When you own a home on the bluff, geotechnical reports aren't optional. They're part of the buying, building, and maintaining process. The city often requires engineering sign-off before any major excavation, addition, or retaining wall work can actually happen. It's not unusual for new builds here to include multi-tiered retaining walls, sub-drain systems, and slope stabilization measures designed by structural and geotechnical engineers working together. In the lower parts of the bluff, especially near Marine Drive, you're also going to see erosion control fencing and seawall reinforcements protecting against runoff that can accelerate slumping. Now, this is less dramatic than a flood, but over decades, erosion can be just as impactful if it's not managed properly. Now, the trade-off, you get a property that feels like it's floating above the ocean, where your living room view looks like a drone shot, but you're also responsible for keeping that bluff secure, not just for your home, but often in cooperation with your neighbors. That's why these hillside properties tend to attract experienced homeowners, people who understand the importance of maintenance and are willing to invest in protecting their future for the long run. And that care pays off. Bluff homes in White Rock have held their value incredibly well, even through market shifts, because they offer something you can't recreate anywhere else: privacy, elevation, and a front row seat to the Pacific Ocean. Hey, if you're new to the area or just starting to explore whether White Rock or South Surrey might be the right fit for you, you're going to want to grab a copy of our free community guide. The link is in the description below this video, and inside you're going to find everything you need to get a real feel for the area, from modern day price points across condos, townhomes, and detached homes to my personal picks for best neighborhoods depending on your lifestyle. Also, you're going to find local recommendations for where to eat, shop, and explore, plus insights that you're not going to get from a simple Google search, like like commute times, hidden gems, and what locals actually love about living here. It's the perfect starting point if you're thinking about making a move to the ocean side of the Lower Mainland. Just hit the link below and download the guide and start getting to know what life in White Rock and South Surrey really feels like. So if you've lived in White Rock or South Surrey for any length of time, you already know when fall rolls in, so do the windstorms. We get a few big ones every year, usually between late October to early December. And when they hit hard. The combination of warm ocean air and Pacific storm systems funnels right through the Strait of Georgia, creating gusts that can knock down branches, snap power lines, and send patio furniture flying across the deck. But what makes it especially dramatic here is all the mature trees that line our hillsides and our neighborhoods. They are beautiful, giant cedars and firs that give White Rock and Ocean Park so much of their character. But that also means there's more to manage when the winds start howling. For bluff and hillside homeowners, those trees can act like sails in a storm, adding stress to root systems that already sit on sloped or sandy terrain. That's why many homeowners here invest in regular arborist inspections, pruning schedules, and sometimes strategic tree removals to balance safety with the look and privacy that those trees provide. Even at the shoreline, the same winds that whip up dramatic waves along Marine Drive can easily gust past 70 to 80 kilometers an hour. That kind of exposure means your windows, siding, and deck structures need to be built for it. Many modern waterfront homes now use laminated, storm-rated glass, hidden steel framing, and reinforced railings, not just for design, but also for durability. It's all part of coastal living. But when you buy near the ocean, you're not just buying the view, you're buying everything that comes with it. The sound of the waves, the smell of salt air, and yes, the occasional fall storm that reminds you exactly how alive this place really is. But that's also part of the magic, right? Because the winds calm and the clouds break, and there's nothing like stepping out on your deck and watching the sun cut through the mist and knowing that you live in one of the most extraordinary coastal communities anywhere in British Columbia. So here's the big picture. Owning waterfront in White Rock isn't for everyone, and that's exactly what makes it so special. You're not just buying a home, you're buying a lifestyle that only a handful of people in the entire Lower Mainland will ever get to experience. But it comes with realities, storms, erosion, maintenance, and regulations. But it also comes with peace, prestige, and permanence. These properties are rare. As I said earlier, they're protected and they hold their value because there's simply nothing else like them. Whether you're looking at Marine Drive, the bluff properties we talked about up in Ocean Park, or the protected community of Crescent Beach, every one of these areas tells a story about living beside the Pacific and being part of something timeless. If you're considering buying a waterfront property here in White Rock or South Surrey, make sure you go into it with the right information, the right due diligence, and the right local guide. We've helped many clients navigate these unique opportunities, and it always starts with a conversation about what kind of lifestyle that you're really looking for. So as mentioned earlier, you can book a call with me and my team using the link below in the description. But maybe being right on the water maybe isn't for you. You know, we talked a lot about a lot of the risks that are involved with living by the water in this very video. So maybe you want the view without worrying about things like flooding. Well, in the next video, the one coming up next, I'm going to show you the most expensive homes in White Rock and South Surrey, what makes them worth every penny, and we're also going to show you the neighborhoods that they stand tall in, some of the most prestigious areas in the entire region. Because when you understand what makes these homes rare, you don't just buy property, you invest in something that cannot be replaced. That video is a fun one, and I'm going to see you over there right now because it's coming up next. This home behind me is worth more than most people will make in their entire lifetime. And that's because I'm standing in front of the most expensive home in all of White Rock and South Surrey.